Hi, my name is Dan Goldstein, and I'm a historic interpreter here at Rippon Lodge Historic Site. Welcome to Rippon Lodge. I wanted to talk a little bit about our holiday programming that's happening here in December. We have Holidays Through the Ages, where we explore Christmas at wartime during the various conflicts that happened during the history of Rippon Lodge. We have trees representing the War of 1812. We have World War I, World War II. And we talk about the different customs that happened in Virginia and abroad with our troops and the folks at home. So when you walk through our historic spaces, you'll see two different trees, one for a home front tree and one for a wartime or troops abroad tree. And we discuss how customs of Christmas changed during wartime, how they came to be with our modern Christmas customs. And we invite you to join us here at Rippon Lodge on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday evenings. We offer our Holidays Through the Ages tour. They are $5 a person. We do not do evening tours. It's just daylight tours. The tours are at 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. We welcome you to come out and join us and see the trees and hear about Christmas at wartime on the war front and at the home front. We've moved into the Great Room. This room is decorated for the War of 1812 and the Revolutionary War, where we're not talking about Santa Claus quite yet, but we're talking about 12th night celebrations that occurred here at Rippon Lodge. And of course, the 12th night, many of you are familiar with it from the song, The 12 Days of Christmas. On the 12th night, or the Epiphany, you're going to be having a great ball in this room with lots of elaborate food and festivities. There'll be dancing, there'll be desserts. There might even be some gunfire outside where they celebrate Christmas with some guns being shot off outside of the house. But 12th night was a very important day in the 18th and 19th centuries. Many of the letters that survive from this time period talk about the elaborate celebrations in the wealthy homes. You might not have seen food like this in all of the homes, but for the Blackburn family that lived here, homes like the Rippon Lodge may have been hosted a large party, and with these parties, very much elaborate food with sweets, and of course, rum and other wines and things of that nature. We've moved into the central passage here at Rippon Lodge, and on either side of me are trees representing World War I. We have our home front tree, which is sparsely decorated because of the shortages at home, all the things that you normally would have put on the Christmas tree. They're all being sent overseas to France to feed the troops. And on this tree may be a reproduction of what was a tree in a hospital that we know in France. We have photographic evidence of one of these trees and what it was decorated with at a hospital. With World War I, especially starting with the American Civil War, photography was present at the battles and at the hospitals and at the homes. So we have photographic evidence of what some of the Christmas traditions look like at that time. We also have photographic evidence and we have firsthand accounts about a truce that occurred in 1914. British troops were in the trenches in France and heard across the no man's land singing of Christmas carols from the German side. Both sides emerged from the trenches and they had a very short, brief treaty in place where they wouldn't shoot at each other. And actually a soccer game broke out between French, German, and English troops. And they were friendly for about 24 hours. They went back into their trenches and they continued to fight each other to the end. So Christmas has been a time of peace, even during the wartime. We've had experiences during the American Civil War when soldiers stopped fighting and went across a river and exchanged goods for each other in the spirit of Christmas. After World War I concluded, America had a brief time of prosperity in the United States, but in 1929, with the stock market crash, most Americans had their life savings wiped out, and Christmas that year and the following years were very slim and not very fun for the children growing up at that era. But for the ultra-wealthy, nothing seemed to change. They didn't miss a beat. The tree on my left represents what a wealthy family would have had in 1929 and 1930. And also at this time period, this is when you first start seeing lights being added to a tree for decoration. Our tree does not have any lights, but it was very common for homes to start being electrified and for electric lights to be added to holiday decor. The tree on my right represents what most Americans after the 1929 stock market crash probably could afford for their Christmas celebrations. a tree that may have been overlooked on the lot, may have been a scrap left over, or the family may have gone into the woods and cut their own tree down. Very modest decorations, and not very many trees had gifts underneath of them. If a child received an orange or another piece of fruit, they would have been simply thrilled because their family could not afford such lavish gifts after their savings were wiped out. Even though it was a hard time and a tough time, Christmas traditions continued after the Great Depression, and the spirit of Christmas continued as well. This is a guest room here at Rippon Lodge from when Admiral Black owned this house. We have in this room a tree representing what would look like during World War II. World War II meant rationing here in the United States, and many families had to make do without things in the kitchen. They had to grow their own vegetables. They had to ration gasoline. They couldn't go for Sunday drives. And when Christmas came, families had to make do with what they could for make ornaments. The ornaments that you see on this tree are all homemade, as they would have been in 1941 throughout the course of the war to 1945. Household items such as a deck of cards, cookie boxes, things that had color and could brighten up the tree were used to decorate. Everything else was sent for the war effort over in Europe. The last tree that we'll see today during our Holidays Through the Ages tour is a tree that may have been in the trenches with American soldiers fighting in Europe. As I mentioned earlier in the tour, we have photographic evidence of some of the trench trees that we have displayed throughout the house. And this picture shows a small tree in Europe during the Battle of the Bulge. Soldiers were cut off from most of their supplies, so they had to make do. They may have used their sea ration cans, they may have used tin foil, they may have used even old bullet casings to decorate their trees. We know that the Christmas spirit continued in the trenches until the Battle of the Bulge was over and American troops were liberated. Thank you for watching today, and thank you for joining us for the Holiday Through the Ages tour. I encourage you to come to Rippon Lodge and take the tour through the house on your own. It is $5 a person. The tours again are at 11 and 2. You can purchase your tickets online at the parks.gov page. And thank you for touring with me today, and happy holidays.